strip club thing and the idea of the freedom to operate another, like, wherever you want. I was wondering if that type of article on the exam, what kind of connections you want us to make with it. Like, if you want to say it should be legal, or you can make us say, like, what laws would be.
What's the story of the strip club article? Because that's where we got to start. What's the story? It is the North Carolina thing. What's the place called?
Touch of Class.
Touch with Class, with a K. Touch with Class. What was it that the Touch with Class basically promoted or attempted to believe or practice? Okay, I've got prostitution, I've got religion here. What was the religion? The Universalist faith was what we were talking about if you go back to this. And what did the Universalists believe? What was it that the church offered? What's that? Pleasure for the body. If you remember, they offered private rooms. They offered fetishes. They offered body cleansings. They offered a one-on-one with an all-girl staff. You had to be 18 years or older in order to be able to worship there, if you remember all of these things. You had said just a second ago that some people in the community thought that this was prostitution, and it was wrong. If you go back to the article, they had things on their walls that basically said, Jesus, protect us from your followers. We believe that everybody should have the right to be able to exercise the religion that they choose and not be bothered by others. Swinging and swinging, if you remember, that's what's really going on here. Is it legal? Was it legal? It is. It's still legal, in fact. Do you remember what the article or what argument we were talking about with this?
That religion, freedom of religion, and if it, whether or not it is a constitutionally accepted, legitimate religious faith, or if it's just yes.
You're right. Is it a real religion or not? And if you remember, it is treated as such. They never claimed their tax exemption status, so they didn't upset people too much. But in fact, it is considered a religion at this point, and in fact, it is actually legal down there. Anything from any of the other articles? One of the rules that I had in the syllabus, be specific. When you get questions and it says explain the controversy, tell me the good points and tell me the bad points.
What's the House Advance bill?
What was the House Advance bill? House Advance's bill to remove felons? What was the felon article?
Expunge the records of or the felony crimes of people who were
Any felony?
no,
No.
non-violent.
It was the idea in what state?
In North Carolina.
In North Carolina, they introduced a bill to be able to expunge the record of 17 and 18-year-olds to remove non-violent felonies. Can you give me some examples of non-violent felonies?
Breaking and entering.
Breaking and entering would have been one. Can you think of any others? The one that we talked about the most in both classes. Carrying a concealed weapon where?
In a class?
On school grounds, yes. And what was it that North Carolina proposed that you would have to do in order to get a non-violent felony expunged?
That you have to do a certain.
How much?
120 hours.
100 hours of community service. Probation. How long was the probation?
Wasn't it like 4 weeks?
A year.
2 years, 100 hours of community service, 2 years of probation, and then you were also going to have regular meetings with the district attorney and other counseling type services to basically demonstrate this. What was the argument? If you were convicted of a nonviolent felony, or any felony for that matter, what privileges do you lose?
You can't.
Well, was that really what they wanted to protect, was the right to vote? Go ahead.
You can't get money to attend school.
You can't get federal money to go to college.
You can't get a job.
Because you're going to check yes on that box that says, have you committed a felony?
And you can't join the military.
And you can't join the military. So Lydia, with that in mind, what is really your number one option? If you can't get a job, if you can't go to school, and if you can't join the military.
Turn to like
Do it again.
More
Violent.
crime.
Yeah.
The argument is that if we forgive nonviolent felonies, then in fact we're going to give these people the ability to gain jobs, to gain education, or to join the military. And if we punish them for mistakes that they made when they were too young, then in fact what are we doing? We're damning them to a life of crime. What would be the argument, the order argument in fact, that says if you've done this, you do need to be punished? Go ahead, Ian.
That if, like, when somebody is under 18 and they see that this law is in effect, and they have in the past done nonviolent felonies, then they'll keep that in mind, but they might push it and see how far they can get.
They might think that if they can get one expunged,
They can get the rest.
they can get others expunged too, and it would send the wrong message. This is actually a really, really good article. Keep that one in mind. Any others up here? Because I'm offering you my services. If you don't want to ask questions, I can't offer you service. Because these are, we covered these in really good detail. So,
For the voter ID law,
Yes.
are you going to want us to explain like why people don't like it, or are you going to make?
what is the voter ID law?
It's Pennsylvania law that says that you have to show a form of ID, official ID of government or like driver's license when you go to the polls.
Pennsylvania is one of the states, and if you remember, the article mentions, I believe, some other ones as well. And there were video clips, if you remember, about some of these. If I'm not mistaken, Nikki Haley from South Carolina was one of the clips in this. But basically, if you remember with the voter ID laws, they're saying that you had to get specific proof to demonstrate your identity. And they wanted a specific ID that you were going to have to turn around really, really fast for this presidential election, or they were not going to allow you to vote. On the one hand, why were people in favor of the voter ID law?
Voter fraud?
To remove voter fraud. Was it clear that there had been voter fraud?
Yes.
It was not clear that there had been voter fraud in the article, but Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, had said that there were dead people that were voting in South Carolina, and she had a problem with this. And some folks say voting is so important, we need to make sure that it's actually accurate. One of the arguments for people saying that this is not legal, it's not fair, what did they compare it to? Go ahead, Aaron.
I know that the issue was minority. A lot of minorities were going to have issues voting.
Do you remember how many it was going to be in Pennsylvania? 11 million? 6 million?
I don't remember more than the.
I think it was about 900,000 in Pennsylvania, and you're right, it was primarily going to be minority, and if it's primarily minority, which party was actually going to be the one that would be affected? Democrats. Some people say we want accurate votes. Other people say, yeah, we want accurate votes, but you're trying to screw the Democrats over in this election, and this might, and do you remember what the Pennsylvania speaker said when they passed it?
It's like this is gonna help Romney get elected.
When we pass this bill, it's going to help Romney win the state of Pennsylvania, meaning it's going to discredit a lot of minority and inner city and poor type voters exactly on that. I've never used that one before. I'm going to try and use it this time. And they have not given us a decision on this yet, so it's still in court. Well, initially the state courts did, but the feds are considering this right now as well, and there hasn't been anything, a final declaration made on it, which is crazy with the election a couple of weeks away. What else do you have up here? Are y'all comfortable with Catholic school teacher?
Yes.
Do y'all remember Heartbreak's Revenge?
Yes.
What was that?
You
You can sue the person. The person you treated well.
Oh wait, isn't that the woman who cheated?
Alienation of affection. What was alienation of affection? It is dealing with cheating, yes.
You can.
Wait.
You can have money from the person who.
Oh wait, I know.
If my girlfriend, if my girlfriend cheats on, okay, if your girlfriend, Brian, cheats on you, then you can sue who? You can sue the guy or the person that she cheated with. And what's the logic behind alienation of affection? What is the cheater taking from you? Go ahead.
Property.
Property. Yeah, and I guess girlfriend is the wrong example. Wife is the example. If another man cheats with your wife, he has effectively stolen away her affection from you. What has he broken? Go.
The contractual, there's
the marriage contract. And when you break the marriage contract, in theory, you're going to be maybe subject to damages. What kind of dollar figures were they given?
200,000. Like max.
That's the max? 200,000?
Max 2 million.
I think there was a case that was over 2 million that was given back, although one of the cases, I think it was close to 200,000, the one that they were talking about. If you remember, it was talking about the wife that was getting a business degree, the wife who said she was in one place was with somewhere else. She said she went with her gay male boss from work, and the little boy knew about this. In fact, this is in North Carolina, and do you remember the other states?